Hi, today I'm going to do something a little bit different. Usually I talk about topics that relate in some way to Northern Arizona, but today, because it's fall, because it's the month of October and leading up to Halloween, I am going to tell you about an experience that happened in Mesa, Arizona, almost 5 years ago to the day. So I never thought of myself as a person with any psychic abilities at all, but yet 5 years ago something happened that made me reconsider that. So going back, I was October 2015. I was divorced about a year and a half. I had two kids, 13 and 15, that went back and forth between me and their father. And I was trying to reinvent my career because what happened is my son was diagnosed with autism in about 2002, 2003. Prior to that, I had worked for Intel for years in the IT department, but having a son on the spectrum was just so overwhelming with all that really should be done to help him that I decided to stay at home with the kids for a few years. So this way I was able to take my boy to therapy. You know, you've got speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy. I mean, everything. You have rehabilitation workers coming to your home to work with them. You have to take them to doctor's appointments. I mean, if you have any kind of a career, when you're sitting there and you are about to start a meeting in an hour that you are chairing and someone calls and says, come get your kid now, it's just not very good for your career. So anyhow, it didn't matter though, because my son was the highest priority at the time. So fast forward to 2015, I'm on a website and I get a message from a cute young guy in his 30s. I mean, really good looking and had the most adorable grin, and he wanted to talk to me. I did say, you know, you realize I'm in my 50s. And he says, yeah, I don't care. It's just a number. So I decided to talk to him, and he made me laugh and was funny and cute. And I thought, what the heck? I'm just going to meet him. So we met one day in mid-October near his apartment in some grassy park area. I got to know him a little bit and thought, yeah, I'll give it another shot. I'll come back and see if we hit it off a second time. Now, Paul wasn't driving. His name was Paul. Paul wasn't driving at this time because he had been having some seizures, and you cannot drive if you have seizures, because if you have a seizure while you're driving, you can pass out and run into somebody and kill someone. And I do know someone that happened to, that I went to high school with. So I was to meet Paul at his apartment on a Thursday night, and I went to his apartment. I went upstairs and I knocked on his door, and he opened the door, happy to see me, and I reached up to grab him a hug. So while I am just 1 second in a hug embrace, right over here on the side of my head, in my right ear, as clear as day, I heard a male voice say, Paul's gonna die. And I'm like, what the hell what did I just hear? And I look, of course, there's no one there. I look at Paul, and he obviously didn't hear anything because he's acting normal. And of course, I'm not going to say, well, I just heard you're going to die. But I was a little bit freaked out. Anyhow, you know, we went out and had a drink and had fun, and then we decided we would go on a real date. But, you know, this creeped me out a little bit. I didn't say anything to anyone. I'm thinking, am I hallucinating? Maybe I'm schizophrenic, but you know, schizophrenia usually comes on between 18 and 24, so I didn't think it was likely that I'd suddenly be schizophrenic at 51, but you never know. Anyhow, a few days later, it was Halloween, and we had our first date. We were supposed to just go out and do something, but we ended up just getting some food, going back to my house, and then Paul would answer the door when the trick-or-treaters came, and I couldn't believe how good he was with kids. He'd open the door, oh, you're a little witch, oh, a princess, how sweet, and he handed out the candy, and he thought it was great. This was like such a good time for him. He had a fun time, and, you know, we headed off, so we continued to see each other for about 8 months now, 8 months, and now Paul occasionally would have a seizure, and we would go to the hospital, and the hospital basically did nothing for him. Here, take this bottle of pills. They scolded him because, of course, you're having a seizure because you weren't taking your meds, which is bull. But anyhow, they, you know, give him a bottle of pills, kick him to the curb, and send him an $800 bill. So we only would go to the hospital with a very severe seizure. Now, fast forward, it's June 2016, and I was going to meet Paul the next day. It's like a Tuesday night, and I was going to meet him the next day. So early in the morning hours of June 8th, the phone rings at 2:30 a.m. and it's Paul saying, "Dawn, honey, I've had 2 seizures and really bad. Please come get me and take me to your house." And at that point, it was like, oh my God, it's 2:30. Mesa, that's like a 20-minute drive to Mesa and back. I'm exhausted. I am 2 weeks away from hysterectomy, so I'm in pain, taking oxycodone and whatever. And I said, no, I'm not going to drive across town to get you. I will be there first thing in the morning tomorrow, 7 a.m. And, he was upset with that, but I just told him I can't. Tomorrow at 7. And I shut off the ringer and went to bed. So the next morning at 7, I look at the phone, there's no messages. I thought, that's odd. I send Paul a text, I'm on my way, or I'll be there at 7:30, blah, blah, blah. No answer. I call, nothing. But I'm thinking, he's sleeping, because if he has a bad seizure, usually he'll go into a deep sleep for like 12 hours after. So I head on over to his apartment after I look for his key, because I have a key to his apartment, but for some reason, today is the day I can't find it. So I go to the apartment and I knock on the door, no answer, knock again, no answer. Finally, I'm pound, 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 Paul, nothing. So I go down to the, apartment manager, area in the front, in the lobby, and I say, could you send a super up to let me in? I can't get hold of Paul, and I just want to make sure he's okay. And she's like, no, we can't, sorry. And I go, well, Paul's been having seizures lately, and I was supposed to meet him this morning, and I got no response. I really need to get in there. And she's like, no, not going to do it. So I'm like, okay, I'll just call 911. So I start dialing 911. I get the dispatcher, and suddenly the apartment manager's like, no, we'll go up. So I tell 911, no, it's under control. The super and the apartment manager go up to Paul's apartment. They won't let me near the place. He's upstairs, and I'm down below watching. So they're in there a long time. And suddenly I hear, sirens. And I'm like, Paul's not doing good. They call 911. Paramedics will come, and they'll take care of him, and it'll be okay. So I'm waiting there, and it's hot. It's June. And I see suddenly the fire truck and the police go up. I see 4 firemen with those boards, 2 or 3 of those boards go up. Police go up. I'm waiting. Nothing's happening. A long time is passing. And I'll tell you, this is one reason I hate Harley Quinn, and I will never see that movie, is that Paul was a big Batman fan, and he had this Harley Quinn poster in his apartment, and the way the door was open, all I could see was the Harley Quinn poster and all these police and firemen and paramedics going around. So about 10, 15 minutes go by. Occasionally I'm like, come on, I know his medical history. Come talk to me. And they're like, nope, we'll be right there. I see all the paramedics leave with their little body boards, but no Paul. Still nothing's going on. I'm like, God, shouldn't you be getting a move on, taking care of him? And then finally, a couple of cops come down and bring me into the lobby. And of course, at that point, I know Paul had passed away. So yes, that was really sad. And I felt really guilty for not picking him up the night before, but I did instantly remember that voice in my head that day that said, Paul's gonna die. And I'm thinking now, I'm like, wow, like, what was that? I don't think I was schizophrenic. Is it possible I'm getting a message from spirit, a spirit guide, or somebody on the other side that just wants to warn me, this is going to happen to you. Don't get too attached to this nice man. And that was it. So that may have helped alleviate the guilt a little bit. After someone passes close to you, almost always you feel guilty about something, even though you're not responsible. But I think that helped with the guilt of me not picking him up. But it was weird. Now, I'll have to say there were maybe 2 other times in my life where I'd had a voice in my ear, right here, tell me something. And again, I'm not sure why it's about, why it's only happened 3 times. And I really think Spirit was just trying to warn me, hey, Paul's going to die. Just prepare, it's going to be okay. So that is my paranormal story of something that happened in Mesa, Arizona, almost exactly 5 years ago. This is different than what I usually post, so if you like it or if you don't like it, just write a comment below. Oh, don't ever do this again, or wow, that's interesting, tell me your other stories. And the rest of this month, I'm going to try to look for anything Halloween, maybe activities that are happening here in Northern Arizona. But for right now, that is what I wanted to tell you about. My name's Dawn Dickinson. I sell real estate here in Northern Arizona. My contact information is below if you have any questions about real estate, but I'm also going to post a couple of other links. One about grief support when someone dies, and then I'm going to post a link of a blog I wrote a few years after when I attended this grief support group after Paul had passed away, just because it's interesting. So I hope you have a great fall and Halloween, and I post every single week, so I hope to hear back from you. I hope you come back to hear what I have to say next week about Northern Arizona living.